Okay, so in front of you now is the syllabus for History 10, 2053-005, Texas History, Spring 23, and Dr. Kelly. Again, note my email. That is by far the best way to get in touch with me. And as I said just a little bit ago, you'll find me quite responsive if you're having issues. If you struggle early in the course, don't give up the ship. I'll work with you. I just can't say it enough. And this happens all the time. Now, there's probably fewer incoming first years in the spring than there are in the fall. But folks often struggle in these type of classes, especially if you don't take history that much. And I know a lot of you are taking this because it's a distribution requirement. You're probably not really excited about taking Texas history, which is perfectly fine. I actually turn around, I think, a vast majority of the students that aren't too excited about taking Texas history because it's really, really interesting subject, and I work hard to make it interesting. So I know a lot of you are, maybe half of you or more, are very dubious about this course. But I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at how much you learn. And you know what? It'll just give you a deeper sense of a place that you live in, a deeper understanding of your experience here. Now, office hours, well, I already see a mistake. They're Tuesday, 12 to 1 and by appointment. And my office is the McKinney's Humanities Building. I can also, I'm very happy to meet you by Zoom. I'm happy to meet you via Zoom if that's easier. There's issues with online learning, but there's advantages too. And one of the advantages is that it gives us all a lot more flexibility. So if you'd like to meet with me, you don't have to. If you may sail through the course. But if there's any issues and you want to talk with me, I can meet you in person, or if that's difficult for you, I can meet you at Zoom. But again, let me stress that about my, hold on here, I just made a mistake. Let me stress my, what my email is, which is by far the best way to get in touch with me. Okay, so this is Texas history. What we're going to focus on in this course is the Spanish period of Texas history, beginning with 1492, really, and we'll probably go up until around 1900. So we'll stress the Spanish period. We'll talk a lot about the Texas Revolution because it's such a contested historical period, and actually we're finding new stuff about it every day, which is kind of shocking. You'd think we'd know more. You'd think we'd know everything there is to know about the Texas Revolution, but there's a lot there. It's enshrouded in myth and story, and it's become very politicized, like a lot of things in American life. And we're going to talk about that this semester. So you'll have a good understanding of the Texas Revolution. We're going to talk about slavery, the introduction of chattel slavery into Texas beginning in the 1820s, and it ends in Texas anyway on June 19th, 1865, the famous Juneteenth, when a Union general reads the Emancipation Proclamation in Galveston. So you're going to learn a lot about, as well as the Tejano experience in Texas, the Spanish period. You'll learn about the Anglos that start coming into Texas in large numbers in the 1820s. But you'll also learn a lot about the African-American experience of Texans or Black Texans, both before, during, and after the Civil War, which is an extremely significant part of the story that I'm going to tell. But note again the diversity. We're talking about the experience of Mexican Americans, Anglo Americans, folks like me, African Americans. And again, the great secret to Texas that a lot of folks outside the state don't realize is just how diverse it is. there's counties outside of Houston that are the most diverse counties in the entire United States. So it's a very interesting and I think a very misunderstood state. And hopefully you'll come out of here with a much better understanding, a foundation for understanding the history of Texas. Let's see. So online course, I'm going through this. I don't know if you're listening to this on a computer or your iPhone or anyway, if you have a screen in front of you. But if you don't, I'm going through the syllabus. I guess you don't really need to. You can listen to it without looking at a screen, but it might be helpful. So this course is fully online, as you probably know. There are not going to be any classroom meetings, and I'm going to post all my. I'm correcting my syllabus as I go. I'm going to post the materials by Tuesday afternoon, and all your quizzes are going to be posted on Tuesday, and I'll talk about the quizzes in a second. So big headline, fully online, no class meetings. I post stuff. I post your material, the lectures and the other material by Tuesday at noon. And on Tuesdays, I also post your quizzes and your midterm. And I haven't talked about that yet, and I will in a second. So here's the point. This class kind of is in a rhythm where Tuesday's a big day for this class. This is where when I drop the material that I want you to learn for the week. It's also the days when I post quizzes and midterms as well. So if you're thinking about getting into a rhythm for this class, when you're going to study for it, just realize that. And again, I'm not going to monitor your studying. I mean, how could I do that? There's like 165 students in the class. But the students that do well in this class are the ones that create a rhythm for themselves, that create a structure for themselves, which is really the trick in an online class, is creating a structure for yourself. So you don't wait till the last second to listen to the material and get the work done. And by the way, this is why I quiz you every Tuesday. I always quiz you on the previous week's material. I'll talk about that more in a sec. But I quiz you every Tuesday because I'm a firm believer that students don't look at the material and don't do the reading unless they're quizzed on it. And I was that kind of a student. Honestly, I wasn't the best undergrad. I got better as I went along. But I was pretty weak, especially at the beginning of my time. So I learned I've been both successful and also a failure as a student. And the reason that I test you every week, it comes from my struggles as a student, because I just would put stuff off to the last minute until I was tested. Okay, so online course, the material drops on Tuesday, the material that I want you to learn for that week. When I post a quiz in a midterm, you'll have at least 48 hours to take it. So you won't have a tight window in which to take it. Again, I want to use the flexibility of the online format. I'm quite aware, as I said previously, that a lot of you work, you have very busy lives in school. I just admire that so much. Those of you that work, that are really sacrificing for your education. I just can't tell you how much I admire you for doing that. And it is worth it. So you'll have at least 48 hours to take the quizzes and the midterms. So you won't have to be in a specific place on Tuesdays. It just will show up on Tuesday if you want to take it on Tuesday. So you have a pretty long window or in terms of time to take the quizzes and the midterms for this class. The required readings for this class, the first one is called Forget the Alamo. And it's a new book on the Alamo and the Battle of the Alamo, and also the fight over the memory over the Battle of the Alamo, which is very interesting, almost as interesting as the battle itself, because it says so much about our culture and the political wars of the day. It's also extremely well written. It's written by journalists, not historians, so it reads very well. And it gives good background on the Texas Revolution and also the period before and after the Texas Revolution. It's on reserve at the JPL desk at the reserve desk at the library. If money is an issue, and if it is, I understand money was an issue for me, especially in graduate school. So if you don't want to purchase the book, you can go and you can read it at the JPL. You can check it out for 2 hours at a time. The other book, the next book is called The Strange Career of Henry Ellis. It's an amazing book about an ex-slave, a man, Henry Ellis, who was born into slavery near Victoria during the Civil War, and who learned Spanish as a kid because he grew up in South Texas. And then as an adult, he passed himself off as a Mexican, and he became a millionaire. He passed as a Mexican. Amazing story. Of an amazing person. His parents are actually buried in San Antonio. They're buried behind the Alamo Dome. And it speaks a lot about the African-American experience in Texas and also the Mexican-American experience in Texas. I think you'll enjoy it. Hope so anyway. The third book is called Empire of the Summer Moon. It is a book about the Comanche in Texas. The Comanche Indian were the dominant Indian group in Texas from the 1730s until about the 1870s, when they were finally suppressed and defeated and driven out of Texas into Oklahoma. There's very little traces of Comanche remaining in Texas today, and that's the reason is that they were expelled from Texas, forcibly, of course, into Oklahoma. So you have much more Comanche life in Oklahoma than you do in Texas. But the Comanche dominated Texas, especially West Texas, or when I say West Texas, I'm talking about the area north of San Antonio, the Panhandle, into New Mexico, where they were often very powerful as well. So we're going to read a lot about the Comanche, fascinating story about really they had an empire. The Comanche had an empire in what's now Texas for over a century, almost 150 years until they were defeated. So it's an extraordinary story. Now I'm going to ask you to purchase or go to the library and watch two movies that I think are excellent movies on Texas. One's called The Searchers. It's a movie from the 1950s. It's about a young woman who was kidnapped by the Comanche, and her uncle searches for her. It's based on a true story that we're going to read about actually in Gwin. And the other one's called Lone Star, which talks about the diversity of Texas. You can watch these movies in the library, or you can rent them fairly inexpensively online. One point about Empire of the Summer Moon, which I forgot, which I want to tell you now. That book, I'm posting a PDF of that book online. So actually you don't have to buy it because the PDF will be posted online. It's also on reserve at the JPL. The PDF is a little bit unwieldy, but it does have the information that you need. And if you're not quite sure about the page numbers and you're using the PDF, email me and I'll let you know what I'm asking for from week to week. One last thing about the readings before I go on. I don't have you read the entire book in sequence. I kind of break up the reading because different parts of the reading are in sync with different parts of the lecture at different times of the semester. So I break up the reading, and I work really hard to break up the reading into bite-sized pieces for you, so it makes sense. So you're reading it along with what I'm lecturing about, and so it makes more sense to you that way. And you'll notice that as we get to the schedule. So I break up the readings into, like I say, bite-sized pieces that are in sync with what I'm lecturing about in any given week. Okay, I'm going to stop this and then record another quick podcast.